The Great Hall of Harmony Prime was full of fear. Representatives from 47 species sat in their chairs, but none of them looked comfortable. The emergency lights above them blinked red, casting strange shadows across their different faces. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had skin that changed color with their emotions. Right now, most of them were pale with worry. Elder Vorin stood at the center podium. He was old, even by his species standards. His 4 eyes moved slowly across the room, watching everyone. His gray skin was wrinkled like old paper, and his long fingers trembled slightly as he held the speaking staff. "The Kelith Empire has declared war," he said. His voice was soft, but it carried to every corner of the room. "They attack the Valoran Collective as we speak. 3 of their border worlds have already fallen." Whispers spread through the hall like wind through grass. The Valoran representative, a small creature with bright blue feathers, made a sound of despair. His people were traitors, not fighters. They had no army. They had no weapons. They had only goods and kindness, and now they were dying. Ambassador Tellus of the Kelith Empire stood up. He was tall and proud, with red skin and sharp teeth that showed when he smiled. He smiled now, and it was not a friendly smile. "The Valorans broke their trade agreements," Tellus said. "They chose their fate. But the Council should not worry. This war is between our empires only." He paused and looked around the room. "Unless someone wishes to help them, then we will have more enemies to crush." Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Elder Vorin nodded slowly. "We understand, Ambassador. The Council will remain neutral in this conflict." It was the safe answer. It was the cowardly answer. Everyone knew it, but nobody had the courage to say different. The Kelith fleet had 20,000 warships. Their soldiers numbered in the billions. No single species could stand against them. The Council had never been good at working together. The meeting was about to end when a young aide approached Elder Vorin. The aide was nervous. His hands shook as he whispered something into the elder's ear. Vorin's 4 eyes went wide. His gray skin became even paler. "What is it?" Tellus asked, his smile fading. "What news?" The aide spoke louder now, his voice cracking. "Someone has asked about Earth. They want to know if Earth knows about the war." The room went completely silent. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of pure terror. Even Tellus stopped smiling. His red face lost some of its color. "Earth has not been contacted," Vorin said quickly. "Too quickly, and it will remain that way." "There is no reason to involve them," Tellus nodded. "Agreed. Earth is not part of this matter. They are far from both our territories. They have no reason to care about our conflict." It was strange. A moment ago, they were enemies. Now they spoke like old friends. They agreed on something for the first time in centuries. Keep Earth out of this war. Do not wake the sleeping giant. Do not attract the attention of humanity. The Valoran representative looked confused. But why? Earth is small. They have been in space for less than a century. Why do you fear them so much? Nobody answered him. The older representatives just looked away. Some of them closed their eyes, as if trying to forget something terrible. Vorin was about to speak when his communication device made a sound. He looked at it, and his old face twisted with fear. "Elder," someone asked. "What is wrong?" "A ship," Vorin whispered. "A human ship. It just entered our sensor range. It is coming to this station." Tellus grabbed the edge of his seat. "That is impossible. We did not invite them." "How do they know about this meeting?" "Humans always know," a old representative muttered. He was from a species that had been in space for 10,000 years. "They watch everything. They hear everything. We made sure to never threaten them, and still they watch us." The great doors of the hall opened. Every eye turned to look. Every heart beat faster. A woman walked in. She was short compared to most aliens in the room. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple style. She wore a gray uniform with no decorations except for a small blue planet on her shoulder. Earth, her name was Una, and she was Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council. She walked calmly to the center of the room. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. When she reached the podium, she smiled politely at Elder Vorin. "Good evening, Elder. I hope I am not interrupting," Ambassador Una Vorin said. His voice was careful, controlled. "We were not expecting you. This is a private council meeting." Yes, I noticed I was not invited. Una's smile did not change. "But my government detected some unusual fleet movements near Valoran space. Many warships. Many weapons. We wanted to understand what was happening." Tellus stepped forward. "This does not concern Earth. This is a local matter between the Keleth Empire and the Valoran Collective. You have no business here." Una looked at him. Just looked. Her eyes were dark and calm like deep water. Tellus was twice her size. He had claws that could cut through metal. But under her gaze, he took a small step back. "Ambassador Tellus," she said softly, "the last species that told humanity where our business was? Well, I am sure you remember what happened to the Drexel Horde." The name made several representatives gasp. One of them actually stood up and left the room. He could not bear to hear more. Tellus said nothing. His red skin had turned almost pink. Una turned back to Vorin. "We are not here to join your war. We have no interest in your conflict. We simply want to observe. Let's watch. To make sure this war stays between those who started it." She paused and looked around the room. "We will be watching very carefully." Elder Vorin felt his old hearts beating too fast. This was exactly what he had feared. The humans were involved now. Not fighting, not yet, but watching. And everyone in this room knew the truth. When humans watched, someone always made a mistake. And when someone made a mistake, humans made them pay. The war had not yet begun for Earth, but the countdown had started. Elder Vorin could not sleep that night. He sat in his quarters on Harmony Prime, staring out at the stars. His 4 eyes were tired, but his mind would not let him rest. The human ambassador was somewhere on this station, watching, waiting. He remembered the day everything changed. 80 years ago, when he was young and foolish, he had laughed at the reports about Earth, a small blue planet, a young species. They had only just built their first ships that could travel between stars. They were nothing. The Drexel Horde had thought the same thing. The Drexel were warriors. For 3,000 years they had conquered and destroyed. They took what they wanted. They killed who they pleased. Their ships were fast and deadly. Their soldiers felt no fear and no mercy. When they found Earth, they saw easy prey, a planet full of soft creatures who had barely left their own moon. The Drexel sent 500 warships. It should have been enough to conquer 10 planets. Vorin remembered watching the invasion from the council chambers. Everyone expected it to be over in days. Some representatives even made bets on how long the humans would last. The highest guess was 2 weeks. The first day went as expected. The Drexel ships entered Earth's space. They destroyed the small human defense fleet in hours. They began landing troops on the surface. Easy. Simple. Done. Then the second day came. The Drexel ground forces reported strange things. The humans were not surrendering. They were not running. They were fighting in ways the Drexel had never seen. They hid in buildings and underground. They attacked at night. They used weapons made from simple things. Everyday objects turned deadly by the third day. The Drexel had lost 10,000 soldiers, not from great battles, but from small attacks. A bomb here, a trap there. Humans appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished like ghosts. The Drexel commander sent more troops. 20,000. 50,000. 100,000. It did not matter. The humans learned fast. Too fast. They captured Drexel weapons and figured out how they worked in hours. They took apart Drexel ships and built their own versions in days. They studied Drexel battle tactics and found weaknesses the Drexel themselves did not know existed. By the end of the first month, the invasion had stopped. The Drexel were no longer attacking. They were defending. The humans had built a fleet. Not a big fleet, just 30 ships. But these ships were different. They had taken Drexel technology and made it better, faster, stronger, more deadly. Admiral Kang. The human commander at that time sent one message to the Drexel horde. You came to our home. You killed our people. Now we come to yours. The council watched in horror as the humans did exactly that. 30 ships against 500. It should have been impossible. But the humans did not fight fair. They did not follow the rules of war that other species used. They attacked supply lines. They destroyed fuel stations. They targeted commanders and leaders. They spread fear like a disease. The Drexel started running. But humans were fast learners, and they had learned how to chase. The war lasted 3 months. When it ended, the Drexel horde no longer existed. Not defeated, not conquered, gone. Their homeworlds were empty. Their fleet was dust. Their people scattered across the galaxy as refugees, never to rise again. And the humans. They went home. They released all their prisoners. They asked for nothing except trade agreements and peace. That was what terrified the galaxy most. The humans had destroyed an ancient empire, and then they simply stopped. They could have taken the Drexel worlds. They could have built an empire of their own, but they did not want to. They just wanted to be left alone. Vorin shook his head, trying to clear the memories, but they would not leave. He thought about what he had seen in Ambassador Yuna's eyes today. That same calm, that same patience. Humans did not get angry like other species. They did not shout or threaten. They just watched and waited. And when you made a mistake, they ended you. The next morning, Vorin called a private meeting with the senior council members. Only the oldest species. Only those who remembered the Drexel War. We must keep the humans calm, he said. We must not give them any reason to act. But we cannot control the Kelith, one representative said. Tellus is arrogant. His commander Reth is worse. They think the stories about humans are exaggerated. They think they can win any war. Vorin felt cold fear in his chest. Then we must pray they do not test that belief. Across the station, Yuna was having breakfast in the human quarters. Her aide, a young man named Minho, sat across from her. He looked worried. Ambassador, the council is afraid of us, he said. Should we not try to calm them? Show them we mean no harm. Yuna took a sip of her tea. Fear is useful, Minho. It keeps species from doing stupid things. The moment they stop fearing us is the moment they start thinking they can hurt us. But we are not monsters. We do not want war. No, we do not. Yuna set down her cup. But we also do not forgive those who harm our people. The galaxy learned that lesson 80 years ago. If they need to learn it again, we will teach them. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see Kelith warships moving toward Valoran space. Thousands of them. Ready to kill innocent people who had done nothing wrong? Contact Admiral Taiho, she said quietly. Tell him to keep the fleet ready. I do not trust the Kelith to be smart. You think they will attack us? Yuna watched the ships disappear into the distance. Someone always does. Someone always thinks they are different, special, that they can defeat humanity where others failed. She turned back to Minho, and her eyes were hard as stone. They are always wrong and far away. In Kelith space, Commander Reth was planning something. He had heard the stories about Earth. He had seen the records of the Drexel War, but he did not believe them. Propaganda, he thought. Lies spread by humans to make themselves seem dangerous. He would show the galaxy the truth. He would show them that humans were not gods. They were just another species. They could bleed. They could die. They could be broken. He gave the order to his strike team. Find a human ship. Destroy it. Make it look like an accident. Show the galaxy that Earth was nothing to fear. It was the worst decision anyone had made in 80 years. The cargo ship Dawn's Light was a small vessel. It carried food and medicine to human colonies on the edge of known space. It had no weapons. It had no soldiers. Just 20 crew members and a captain named Ginho, who had served humanity for 30 years. Ginho was drinking coffee in his cabin when the alarm started. Red lights flashed everywhere. His first officer's voice came through the speaker, shaking with fear. Captain, 3 Kelith warships just appeared. They are charging weapons. Jin-Ho ran to the bridge. Through the viewing screen, he could see the Keleth ships. They were big and ugly, covered in spikes and guns. They looked like monsters made of metal. "Open a channel," Jin-Ho ordered. "Tell them we are a civilian ship. We carry no weapons. We are not part of any war," his officer tried. The Keleth did not respond. Instead, they fired. The first blast hit the engine room. The second destroyed the cargo hold. The third went through the center of the ship, killing 12 people in an instant. Jin-Ho was thrown against the wall. Blood ran down his face. Around him, his crew was dying. The ship was breaking apart. In minutes, there would be nothing left. He crawled to the communication panel. His hands were burned and broken, but he did not stop. He pressed the emergency button and spoke into the microphone. "This is Captain Jin-Ho of the Dawn's Light. We have been attacked by Keleth warships in neutral space. This was not an accident. This was murder. Tell Admiral Taiho. Tell him what they did." The message went out. Then the Keleth fired again, and the Dawn's Light became dust and memory. But Jin-Ho did not die. His escape pod launched 1 second before the final blast. He floated in space, alone, surrounded by the remains of his ship and his crew. The Keleth ships scanned the area. They saw the pod. They could have destroyed it easily. But Commander Reth, watching from far away, ordered them to leave it. "Let him live," Reth said with a smile. "Let him tell his people what happened. Let them know they are not safe. Let them feel fear. It was a mistake." Reth thought he was sending a message of strength. Instead, he had given humanity a witness, a survivor. A reason the message reached Earth 12 hours later. Admiral Taiho was in his office when it came. He listened to Jin-Ho's words. He heard the fear and pain in the captain's voice. He watched the recording of the attack that the pod's cameras had captured. When it ended, Taiho sat in silence for a long time. His face showed no anger. His hands did not shake. He simply sat there, thinking, planning. Then he made a call. "Wake up the fleet," he said. "All 12 ships. Full combat readiness." The officer on the other end paused. "Sir, only 12 ships? The Keleth have thousands. 12 will be enough." Within 72 hours, the united fleet of Earth was moving. 12 ships, each one carrying weapons that the galaxy had never seen. Weapons that human engineers had spent decades building. Weapons that were never meant to be used, but were always ready. Jin-Ho was rescued and brought to the medical ship. His wounds were healed. His body was fixed, but his eyes had changed. They were cold now, filled with quiet anger. Admiral Taiho came to see him personally. "How do you feel, Captain?" Taiho asked. "Ready," Jin-Ho said. "Give me a ship. Let me return the favor." Taiho nodded. "You will command the Stormbreaker. Our newest vessel? Our deadliest weapon." Jin-Ho smiled for the first time since the attack. It was not a happy smile. The Stormbreaker arrived in Keleth space alone. One ship facing 3,000? The Keleth defense fleet surrounded it immediately, laughing at the foolish humans who had sent only one vessel. "Surrender now," the Keleth commander said through the communication channel. "You are outnumbered. You cannot win. Accept your defeat, and we might let you live." Ashno did not respond with words. He gave a signal to his chief engineer, a woman named Hannah who had worked on this weapon for 20 years. "Activate Voidfire Protocol," he said. Hannah pressed a button. Deep inside the Stormbreaker, something woke up. A machine that touched the very fabric of reality. A weapon that broke the rules of nature itself. The space around the Keleth fleet began to change. Stars seemed to bend. Light twisted in ways that made no sense. The Keleth ships tried to move, tried to run, but they could not. They were trapped in something they did not understand. Then the void fire activated. There was no explosion. No flash of light. No sound. The Keleth ships simply stopped existing. 3,000 warships, millions of soldiers, gone in an instant. Not destroyed, erased, as if they had never been there at all. The Stormbreaker floated alone in empty space. Where the greatest defense fleet in Keleth history had been, there was now nothing but stars. Jinho opened a channel to the Galactic Council. His face appeared on screens across 47 worlds. "This was not a war," he said calmly. "This was a response. The Keleth killed innocent humans. Now they pay the price. We do not want to continue this. We want peace. But if anyone else thinks they can murder our people and escape punishment, remember what you saw today." He paused and looked directly at the camera. "We can do this again. We can do it to anyone. Do not make us prove it." On Harmony Prime, Elder Vorin watched the recording with trembling hands. He had seen terrible things in his long life. He had witnessed wars that burned entire star systems. But he had never seen anything like this. 3,000 ships. Gone. Like they were nothing. Ambassador Yuna stood beside him, her face calm as always. "Elder," she said quietly, "I told you we were watching. I warned you someone would make a mistake." Vorin could not speak. His mouth was too dry. His hearts were beating too fast. "Please," he finally whispered. "Please stop. The galaxy cannot survive this." Yuna shook her head slowly. "We did not start this. But we will finish it. That is what humans do." Far away, Commander Reth received the news about his defense fleet. For the first time in his life, he felt real fear. The humans were coming for him, and he had nowhere to hide. The Galactic Council met in emergency session for the 5th time in 3 days. The great hall that once held representatives from 47 proud species now looked like a room full of frightened children. Nobody sat straight in their chairs. Nobody spoke with confidence. They all watched the screens that showed the human fleet moving deeper into Keleth space. Elder Vorin stood at the podium. But he did not look like a leader anymore. He looked like a tired old man who had seen too much. "We must contact them," a representative said. "We must beg them to stop. Beg." Ambassador Yuna raised an eyebrow. She sat in the human section now, no longer standing at the edges. "Your council watched as the Keleth threatened the entire galaxy. You did nothing. You said nothing. And now you want to beg us to save the people who murdered our citizens? This is not about the Keleth," Vorin said weakly. "This is about the galaxy. If humanity destroys them completely, other species will see. They will learn that war means extinction. The fear will poison everything." Yuna leaned forward. "Good. Fear should have a cost. The Keleth learned this too late. Perhaps others will learn it in time." Vorin made one last attempt. He used his personal communication device to contact Admiral Taiho directly. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen, visible to everyone in the hall. Taiho looked calm. He always looked calm. That was what made him so terrifying. Other commanders shouted and raged. Taiho simply planned and acted, like a surgeon cutting out a disease. "Elder Vorin," Taiho said, "I expected your call. Admiral, please. The Council begs you to show mercy. The Keleth have lost. Everyone can see that now. There is no need for more death." Taiho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was soft, almost gentle. "Elder, your council watched as the Keleth threatened 40 species. You said nothing. You planned nothing. You hoped the problem would go away. And when they murdered my people, innocent people carrying food and medicine, you hoped we would not notice." Vorin lowered his head. "We were afraid." "So were we," Taiho replied. "Once, when we first came to the stars, we were afraid of everything. Afraid of species like the Drexel. Afraid of empires like the Keleth. But we learned something important. Fear does not protect you. Strength does. Not the strength to attack, but the strength to finish what others start. But surely there can be peace now. The Keleth will surrender. They will give you whatever you want. Peace." Taiho shook his head slowly. Commander Reth did not want peace. He wanted to show the galaxy that humans could be killed without punishment. He wanted to make us look weak. If we stop now, the next empire will think the same thing, and more innocent people will die. He leaned closer to the camera. "No, Elder. This ends when the Keleth Empire ends. Not before. The screen went dark. Voran stood alone at the podium with no more words to say. On the Keleth throne world, Commander Doyan landed with 10,000 human soldiers. They wore black armor that seemed to drink in light. They carried weapons that the Keleth had never seen and could not understand. They moved in perfect silence. Like shadows given form, the Keleth Emperor had gathered his elite guard to protect the palace. 5,000 of his best warriors, each one trained since birth to kill. They had won 100 battles. They had never known defeat. Doyan did not speak to his soldiers. He did not need to. They knew what to do. They had trained for years. They had waited for a moment like this. The battle lasted 11 minutes. The Keleth guards fought hard. They used every weapon, every tactic, every trick they knew. It did not matter. The humans were faster, smarter, more brutal. They did not fight like soldiers. They fought like hunters, picking apart the Keleth defenses piece by piece. When it was over, Doyan walked through the palace halls alone. His armor was covered in blood that was not his own. His face showed no emotion. He found the Emperor hiding in his private chambers, surrounded by the bodies of his last protectors. "Please," the Emperor said. He was crying, tears running down his red face. "Please, I will give you anything. Worlds, ships, treasure. Just let me live." Doyan looked at him for a long moment. "You sent Commander Reth to kill our people. You ordered the attack on the Dawn's Light. 20 innocent humans died because you wanted to send a message. It was not my idea. It was Reth. He planned everything, but you approved it. You thought it was a good plan?" Doyan stepped closer. "You thought killing humans would make you look strong?" The Emperor tried to crawl backward, but there was nowhere to go. "Do you feel strong now?" Doyan asked quietly. The Emperor surrendered. He signed every document the humans put in front of him. He gave up his title, his power, his empire. He became nothing, less than nothing, a broken creature who would spend the rest of his life as a warning to others. Meanwhile, Captain Jinho hunted Commander Reth. The Keleth officer had tried to escape on a fast ship, running toward the edge of known space. He thought he could disappear. He thought the humans would eventually give up. He was wrong. The Stormbreaker caught him near a dead star, far from any help. Reth's ship had no weapons that could hurt Jinho's vessel. He had no tricks left. He had nothing but fear, Commander Reth Jinho said through the communication channel. "Do you remember the Dawn's Light? Do you remember ordering your ships to attack us? Do you remember letting me live so I could tell my people what happened?" Reth did not answer. He was too afraid to speak. "You should have killed me," Jinho continued. "That was your only mistake. Well, your second mistake. Your first mistake was thinking you could kill humans without consequences." Reth's ship was captured, not destroyed. Jinho wanted him alive. He wanted Reth to stand trial. He wanted the whole galaxy to watch. Justice would be served. The human way. Admiral Taiho sent his terms to the Galactic Council. The Keleth Empire would be dismantled. Every species they had conquered would be freed, and the galaxy would form a new peacekeeping force, human oversight. The Council had no choice but to accept. The war was over. The humans had won, and the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months had passed since the fall of the Keleth Empire. The galaxy was different now, quieter, more careful. Species that had once threatened their neighbors now spoke with soft voices and gentle words. Wars that had burned for centuries suddenly found peaceful solutions. Nobody wanted to attract the attention of Earth. The Valoran collective was free. Their people had returned to their worlds, rebuilding what the Keleth had destroyed. They sent a message of thanks to humanity, along with the finest goods their traders could gather. Admiral Taiho politely refused the gifts. He said that freedom was not something to be bought or sold. The Keleth Empire had been broken into 12 smaller systems. Each one was independent now, watched by human observers who made sure no new empire would rise from the ashes. Commander Reth had faced trial on Harmony Prime. He was found guilty of murder and war crimes. He would spend the rest of his life in a prison cell. Thinking about the mistake that had cost him everything, Elder Voran called the first meeting of the new Galactic Council. The Great Hall looked the same as before, but the feeling was different. There was no more fear in the air, just respect and something that might have been hope. Voran was tired. He had thought about retiring many times since the war ended, but there was one more thing he needed to do. One more duty before he could rest. "Representatives of the galaxy," he said, his 4 eyes moving across the room. "We have seen what happens when we ignore evil. We have seen what happens when we let fear control us. We have seen the price of weakness." He paused, gathering his strength. "But we have also seen what strength looks like. Not the strength of empires that conquer and destroy, but the strength of those who protect the innocent and punish the guilty. Humanity showed us this strength. They did not want war. They did not seek power. But when war came to them, they ended it." He turned toward the human section, where Ambassador Yuna sat with her small team. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I ask humanity to lead the new peacekeeping coalition. We need your guidance. We need your strength. We need your wisdom." The room was silent. Every eye was on Yuna. She stood up slowly, her face calm as always. But there was something new in her eyes. Not pride. Not triumph. Something softer. Something tired. "Elder Voran, the Council honors us with this request. But humanity must decline." Whispers spread through the hall. Voran looked confused. "We did not fight this war to become rulers," Yuna continued. "We did not destroy the Kelith to build our own empire. We are not your leaders. We do not want to be." She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of species. "But we will help you. Admiral Taiho has agreed to serve as an advisor to the coalition. Our fleet will remain ready, watching, waiting. Not as conquerors, but as protectors. We will not rule you. But we will remind you." She paused, and her voice became stronger. "War has a cost. Make sure you can pay it before you start one. If you cannot, if you choose to harm innocent people, if you think you can hide your evil from the stars, remember what happened to the Kelith. Remember what happened to the Drexel. Remember what happens when humanity notices." She said. The hall was completely silent. Then, slowly, Elder Voran began to clap. One by one, the other representatives joined him. The sound filled the great hall like thunder. Far away, on the battleship horizon, Jinho and Hannah shared a quiet drink. The ship was stationed near the old Kelith border, part of the peacekeeping patrol. Outside the window, stars burned cold and bright. "Do you think they will ever stop being afraid of us?" Hannah asked. She was tired. Building weapons of unimaginable power was difficult work, and she had spent 20 years doing it. She hoped she would never have to build another one. Ginho thought about the question. He thought about the Dawn's light and the crew he had lost. He thought about the Kelith ships that had murdered his friends. He thought about the moment when he activated the Void Fire and watched 3,000 warships disappear. "Fear is not the goal," he said finally. "Respect is." Fear fades over time. People forget why they were scared, but respect lasts. They will learn to respect us not because we can destroy them, but because we choose not to. He raised his glass. "To the fallen," he said. "To the Dawn's light. To everyone who died so the rest of us could live in peace." Hannah raised her glass too. "To peace," she said. "The hard kind. The kind you have to fight for." They drank together, 2 old soldiers watching the stars. On Earth, Commander Doyan returned to his home. It was a small house in the countryside, surrounded by trees and flowers. His wife met him at the door, holding their daughter in her arms. The daughter was 3 years old. She did not understand where her father had been or what he had done. She only knew that he was home now, and she was happy. Doyan took off his medals and put them in a drawer. He would never wear them again. He did not need them. He picked up his daughter and walked out into the garden, listening to her laugh as she chased butterflies. The war hero was gone. Only the father remained. In the United Nations building, Ambassador Yuna gave her final report. The leaders of Earth listened carefully as she described everything that had happened. the Council's fear, the Keleth's arrogance, the war that had changed the galaxy forever. We did what we had to do, Una said. We protected our people. We punished those who harmed us. And we showed the galaxy that peace is possible. But only if you are strong enough to keep it. She looked around the room, at the faces of the men and women who had sent her to the stars. The galaxy knows what we are now. They know we can destroy anyone who threatens us. But that is not enough. We must also show them who we are. We must show them that humans are more than warriors. We are builders, teachers, friends. She smiled, and for the first time in months, it was a real smile. Let us show them the best of humanity. Let us earn their respect, not just their fear. Let us prove that we deserve the peace we fought for. The leaders nodded. It would be hard work. It would take years, maybe generations. But they would try. Across 47 species, one truth had become absolute. You could start a war in this galaxy. You could threaten and conquer and destroy. But if Earth noticed, if humanity decided to act, you would not finish it. The stars were at peace, and humanity watched over them all.